All right, the idea kind of got put in my head to do a little shop tour. A couple people had sort of mentioned an interest in that. It's a little too much like show and tell for me to do that, but I'll show you around because it's maybe I'll try and tell the story of my shop instead. But we got to start outside to do that, so come with me. A really nice young man bought it as an investment property. He doesn't live here, he rents it. There's 2 homes that are rented, as well as this half of the barn. I rent, and then the rest of this barn, like this barn here and the rest of my barn, are used by the caretakers of the property, who are turning this property back into a farm like it used to be. You see the chickens in there. Hey girls! They're inside because it's raining. They are starting to turn these fields into farmland in the back 40 over here. It's really the back 1. And I was going to do this for the property. I was starting to do the research, and then it turned out they went and did it anyways. We got some bees coming here. They just moved in to this piece of land here that's getting cleared out for bees. So that's kind of nice. And the people that use this land also have a fence company, so you often see me picking through this pile of their fences that they tear down. It's really just a great location for me. Now I think it's important to point out that I'm a vegetarian. I was a vegan for a while. I've been a vegetarian for longer than I've been anything in my life. But don't worry, I'm not going to preach to you. I'm not going to tell you you have to. But it is very closely connected to what I do here. And that's one of the reasons why this property is so perfect for me, because I get my eggs from these girls up here, and I thank them every time I do. And now I'm much more interested in eating locally than anything right now, and so I'm really excited about the fact that we're starting this farm here, and I'm hoping to learn and maybe jump in and do some more of that as well. My whole concept about living locally and leaving a small footprint, it almost starts and ends with food, because it's what we're made of. Then what I do is make the stuff that we use. So. I think regular viewers of my stuff know that I spent most of my life as a musician. I also had a bunch of jobs, and I never really took too well to being told what to do. So I've always tinkered and messed around with my hands, never really professionally. I have no formal training whatsoever, and I started in my garage, of course, and actually I started in other people's garages and in my garage. And as this business started to grow and I started to decide I wanted to make this my full-time thing, I had to move out of my driveway. It just wasn't working. So I got real lucky that I found this place with all this space. The problem is there's so much space that I could easily become a hoarder. And that's not what I'm trying to do. I don't want to just hoard this stuff. I want to see people use it. So it's kind of sad. I see so many things getting thrown away, and then so many people are trying to give me stuff, and I just can't take it all because there's not necessarily anybody that's going to buy it. And we need to change the way we think about the stuff that we use. That's what I'm trying to do with this channel, and my shop is a testament to that, because most of it is made out of things that people didn't want or are throwing it away. And some of it's kind of valuable just to me, and some of it's just kind of valuable in general, and I'm going to show you some of that. Alright, we'll start with the heart of my shop, which is this giant workbench. It's 6.5 feet by 11.5 feet. And I don't think I spent a dime building it. I think I spent about $20 on it. The entire base of it is made from kitchen cabinets and scrap 2x6s from my neighbor who tore down a porch, and some other scrap 2x4s, all just scrap wood. The main surface of the top is this very thick, heavy plastic. I don't know if you can really see it too well. It's like this blue plastic, and it was some bathroom dividers, like those stall walls in public restrooms. There was a bunch of those that a buddy of mine had. And then the top, I spent about $20 on it, some leftover cork floorboards or something. I like having that soft surface on the top. So the kitchen cabinets work great because they're the right height, and I just keep all my tools at the ready in these drawers. See how organized I am. Then behind that is my storage of all my tools on this nice old bench. I spent a few bucks on it, just an old workbench. It's the right size, right look. I have those drawers up top there were from a local Sears that was remodeling his hardware section. Grabbed a couple of those. And I use kitchen cabinets for storing some glues and stains and whatnot. That's an old display rack that I have some nuts and bolts and some tools on. I got from the dump. And this is an old beautiful mahogany armoire. Back the camera up. That my wife's friends were getting rid of. And recycling wall. I had some sheetrock laying around. I just put up there last week. That a buddy of mine had left over from doing some work around his house. That's an old jukebox frame there that I have all those tubs on, and I just sort of sort my recycling out. I honestly have very rarely taken anything to the recycling center because I often pick through it and use the plastic containers for mixing glues and paints, and then they go back in, and eventually that one gets full. But I have a lot of scrap metal I save, and I pick through there and use the metal all the time. And then just some storage of some random stuff over there as well. And I heat the place on all scrap wood and wood that is felled on the property. Most of it naturally felled, and some of it from the the farm work and whatnot. So when I figured out to put this fan up behind the pipe instead of down on the floor to blow the heat around, that's what made the difference for me making the shop usable in the winter and get it to a nice 60 degrees here, even if it's 0 degrees out. And I just keep that fan blowing. I just keep blowing the heat around the top. Your feet stay cold. You got to wear insulated boots because there's no heat down there, but I don't really care about down there. I want to keep my core warm. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I got that stove for free, of course. This router table is a lot nicer than I deserve, and I did spend quite a few bucks putting it together. But to save a few dollars, I built it into this old kitchen cabinet. Works great. Regular viewers of my channel will also know that I'm not really big into plugging products or advertising for people, especially for free, even paid for that matter. So I go around and I tape over all the logos on my equipment and whatnot. Sometimes I have some fun with it. This is my borscht table saw. My chop saw is a DeLorean. It's a baby bear sander. Disco Stew don't advertise. I even cover over a lot of the logos on this type of stuff. Here's my paint dietary supplement. My mother's father was a Finnish carpenter, and my father's father wasn't, but he was a pretty handy guy. And I do have some of their tools, like this old plane, and I really enjoy using them. But most of these old tools didn't come from them. I didn't really know my grandparents too well. And the tools I did get from them sort of more came from my father, who wears a tie, but he's still pretty good. I learned a lot of stuff from him, fixing up the old house that we grew up in and stuff. I do feel a connection to the past through them, even though, like I said, I didn't really know them too well. When I look at myself in the mirror, I look like my mother's father, and I just think it's pretty interesting that even though I never really hung out with them and everything, I'm using his tools. Got these sanders used on Craigslist, and this is my recent big purchase here. I bought this metal lathe I'm starting to learn how to use. You can believe me or not, but this whole corner of the workshop, from this whole free kitchen counter that this chop saw is on, all the way over to this old scroll saw here, less than $500 into this whole corner. The chop saw is on permanent loan from my brother-in-law. It was just not getting used at his place, so we put it in my house, and he hasn't wanted it back yet. This bandsaw I bought off the internet, guy had it listed for sale. It was brand new. He bought it brand new. He brought it home, and he never assembled it. It sat there for a bunch of years in a damp basement floor, and the bottom rusted out a little bit, but it was still completely, it was wrapped in plastic. It was unassembled, so I got this brand new bandsaw for half the price of buying it new. And then the sweetheart pieces, the lathe, this awesome scroll saw, and this amazing drill press. My neighbor got them from his father-in-law, I believe is where they came from. He didn't want them. He's a carpenter, but he didn't want them. He's more like a contractor guy. Didn't have the space for them. He was trying to give them to me when I was working in my garage, and I was like, I don't have the room. I want them, but I don't have the room. A few months later, he's cleaning out his old trailer, and he's putting it up for sale. So I said to him jokingly, well, if I had that trailer, I could clear out some space in my shop and take those tools. And he said, $400, the trailer and the tools, I'll bring them all over to you today. So I said, okay. Absolutely. So I had that trailer, I use it for storage, I put these tools in my shop, I put them all on casters so I can move them around my tiny shop, and I still work that way. When I moved into this shop, I sold the trailer for 400 bucks, so free. Limitations are very important to me. It's kind of what this whole thing is all about. And I have these, among the obvious limitations of using reclaimed materials and whatnot, I have these other sort of restrictions that I put on this business. In order for me to consider something to be handmade, and these are antiquated and dumb, I understand that, but that's just what I'm using. But in order for things to be handmade, in my opinion, or from the shop, that means I don't use any computer-aided equipment, and I don't use anything that runs on anything above a 110 outlet. Not that there's anything wrong with that, and I know that's kind of dumb, but that's just how I started, and that's how I want to stay. Still basically storage over here, and this is the only water I have in the building. This cold water coming into a garden hose here. There's no bathroom either. There is one up in one of the houses that I have access to, but to be honest, most of the time I just go visit the trees. Most of this is still just storage. You see I have shelves built out of old doors and fence posts. All shelves I got for free, and this is some of my stock and my lumber. Believe it or not, it's actually sort of organized in there. Back here, more door shelves, and this is some of my just sort of fun stuff that I've collected that I plan on doing something with someday. It's more stock. Just random things, just things that are going to become other things someday. And as you can see, this is where it starts getting a little scary into hoarding. Just constantly try to keep things in check while I go, but I'm keeping this space open here. I'm doing some of my heavier woodworking here. I have this big sander and that planer, so I can just sort of shoot those, all the chips and the sawdust that direction, keep my shop a little bit cleaner. And I have this big radial arm saw too. That was my my father-in-law's. He didn't want it in his garage anymore. I basically just chop firewood on it, but it's nice to know I have it if I need it. It's still a work in progress, and I use these shipping blankets instead of solid doors. I'm gonna actually sew some stuff and make them a little bit better, because they keep the heat in just as well, and they're easier to you can just walk through and your hands are full. But so I just recently acquired this bay. It's not the best bay in the barn because the floor is a little crooked on this side over here, but I still got plenty of wide open space. It's just a bunch of junk in here right now. I'm starting to run some lights and some electricity and whatnot, but this is going to be basically just storage. Then there's the upstairs of the barn. It's a little wet, it's a little rough, there's no electricity, but it's mine to throw junk in as I please, and that's where it gets real scary about not hoarding. And that's my my shop, my ever-evolving, ever-changing shop. For me, it's not about the items and the tools and the materials so much that are in here. Like I said, it's more about the development of it, and it's sort of an extension of the development of me. I could sit around and go through every pile and tell you the story, like where I got this for free and where I got that for 40 bucks and where I got that for free. It doesn't really matter because they're just the things. It's what we're doing with them and where we're going with them and what we're trying to achieve is what's important to me. And so this is my story. I still get a kick out of the fact that anybody even cares. And share your stories, man. We all have them, you know. Thanks for watching.